Hey guys, it's Matt with ContractorHUB. Today we're going to go through a quick couple steps of how to enter a lead into the system, and we're going to go through two ways to do it. We're going to go through the quick entryway, which is just essentially the essential lead information. And then we're going to go through the full lead entryway, which is getting as much information as you can. So depending on your process, you may have somebody in the field or you may be in the office that just need to enter a lead very quickly. That way we'll do the quick entry, or you may have a CSR answering the phone, going through a more detailed script, and for that reason, we'll go through the full entry. So let's go ahead and jump right into the software. So I'm going to land on my project pipeline. Now, this is where I'm going to add any new leads at if I was in front of a PC. So on the computer, we're going to go into the first way, which is Quick Add. So once we go into Quick Add, we have the ability to select an existing customer. So we can either select an existing customer or we can add a new customer. So if you haven't done work at the property before, they likely won't be in the system. You'll need to add a new one. If you have done work at the property before, you can just select that previous customer. For instance, I would select property management, and then I would be able to select a drop down of all of the addresses I've done for that customer. But in this instance, we're going to say we have not. So I'm just going to add a new customer. Now, we can decide to edit or add a new person. So just a direct contact. So this would be a good example, just a homeowner. So you're going to add their homeowner information. Or you may add a business. So if this is a business address and you don't have a contact for it, you want to just get them into the system somewhere in the lead pipeline, you could just add the business name. So say you just don't have a contact at that business, and maybe you're just putting them in your cold pipeline and you're wanting to reach out and figure out, who to talk to there. And then if you do have a contact at the business, you can add both. So in this instance, we'll go ahead and add both, and I'll add myself. We can add contact info if you want. It's not mandatory, but it is optional. So we will add a company name. We'll say Parks Properties. And then, of course, there's some additional information not required. You'll notice there's a little red star if it is, and then we'll hit create. So now we have a new customer created for Parks Properties. We're going to add the address. So we're going to say 2817 West End Ave. And actually, I am in a Canadian account. So we're not going to show the addresses populate. And I don't have a Canadian address off my top of my head. So we'll just go ahead and add my property address. And we're going to say this was maybe an inbound call. So you're going to select the lead source, and that lead source is how did that customer get in touch with you? Was it an inbound call? Was it a door knock? A referral? How did it come in to the office? Now the marketing channel is how did they find you? So the lead source again is how did they contact you? And the marketing channel is how did they find your phone number? So if it's an inbound call, they found your phone number through Google Organic. Maybe it was a Facebook ad. We'll just say that they looked us up on Google, and it'll be Google Organic. Now, these are two important parts, is selecting the trade and work type, because these are going to directly relate to your workflow and what workflow that this project goes on to. So because every workflow is different, a flat roofing may have a flat roofing workflow may be completely different than a sloped one or residential. It depends on how you classify it and how we set it up during onboarding. But that's going to be very specific to your company. For us, we're just going to talk on this instance. The trade is going to be flat roofing, and then we're going to just set it's going to be maybe a service job. So this company, Parks Properties, called in. They say, I need service. Maybe it could be a time and material job, or they just have a leak and we need to go out and repair a leak. But it's not really a full replacement estimate. So we'll put it in a service. If there are additional services that you want to tag in there, you can tag them. So say if you know this property is a TPO roof, we can just add in TPO roof. You can add in any other services. So if you know, like, hey, they're also having a gutter problem, you could, if you had gutters in your services, then you could add that. But you can add any, we'll call this emergency flat roof repair. So we can have multiple services per project. This is more for tagging and reporting in the future, not required. However, it is very useful for when you do want to look back on historical values and see, hey, how many TPO roofs did I do over the last 12 months? We can look at that. So, and then any notes that you want to put in, you can put those notes in. I accidentally just clicked the cancel button, so that's a pain in the butt, but this is all right because we're going to go ahead and recreate that lead, and we're going to show you how quick it is. So we selected Parks Properties, that's the customer. And then we will select the lead source, and the lead source is an inbound call. And of course, you can do everything with your keyboard if you want, just tab through the fields. And then we will select everything. Tab and arrows are your friends when you're editing something on a PC. So, and then we'll just say for services, TPO, let's just put back in TPO roofing. And then I'm going to hit submit. Now, once I hit submit, the lead will be created and it will take you directly to the page. And that's it. That's creating a fast lead through the quick lead entry. That's if essentially you're in the field, maybe you're on your phone, or maybe you have your laptop in your truck and you need to add a lead in very quickly. You don't have to add all the specific fields. Now, I do also want to talk about adding a lead with the full lead form. The full lead form is a lot more detailed, so you can get a lot more information. This is more going to be reserved for your customer service representatives or maybe your office manager, somebody answering the phone. You're going to want to use full lead entry because they can collect a lot more granular information about the job, ask more questions, get more data, so before you get to the job site what you're kind of looking at. So we'll do the same thing here. So I'll click in the project pipeline. We're going to go to full lead entry. So I'll click that button. And then again, just like the quick lead entry, I can search for a pre-existing customer or I can create a new one, either or, but you'll get the same options to create as a person, contact, a business, or as both. So we'll assign this lead to Parks Properties. So I'll just type in Parks. And I will select. And again, you'll see now, because I already have a property on file, we'll be able to search for the recent property on file. So I can see 2817, that's the one I just created, is already in the dropdown. So I'm going back to this property again to fill this out. So we'll go ahead and populate any other information that's not in here. Again, this is a Canadian account, so it's actually showing up as multiple sources, but now I can just go through all my questions. So if I'm on the phone with the customer, I can ask, hey, what's your phone number? Where is that a mobile phone? Do you have anybody else you'd like to call? Do we want to say, hey, please don't call me? Can I opt into phone calls? Can I opt into text messages? Can I opt into emails? These are all defaults. However, you can always ask your customer that. So we can add different contact information. So we will add a ContractorHUB for an email. We could say directions to the property. Preferred contact method, they maybe want to have a phone call. If it's a house or building type, we can say what it is. Maybe this one's a commercial building. And we will say that this is a TPO roof. We don't really know the year built, don't have to fill that out, but we can fill that out as needed. If we're doing siding or anything like that, we can add that, age of roof. There's a lot more details that we can enter into this. And that's the purpose of this full lead entry, is because if you're having a CSR or an office manager or somebody answering the phone, they have a lot more time to ask more detailed questions. But if you're just answering the phone on your cell phone, that quick lead entry is going to be way, way easier. You can always enter this data later as needed. But again, here's some more lead details, appointment info, if we want to set an appointment, who the setter is, so on and so forth. But we'll go ahead and create that just like we created the last one. And we'll notice that I'm getting an error because, again, we are a Canadian address or a Canadian company in this specific instance, and it does not recognize the postal code. So I'll just delete that for now because it's not required, but it will kind of warn you when you enter something incorrectly. So now you'll notice we're going to have, it's going to add the contact for the record. It is going to add some details. It's going to auto date based on your settings, or auto job number based on your settings. And then we have our lead in the system. And we're going to stop there because there's a lot more that we can do, but those are going to be reserved for other videos. And we're already probably past the 6 or 7 minute mark now. So I'm sure you guys are bored of me. But anyways, that's just about it. That's getting a lead into the system. Once you get it in, we're going to go through in the next videos of how to move it through the pipeline and what the different statuses mean. And again, it's going to be all customized based on the way you need it set up. So that's going to all happen during onboarding. So you're going to, when you're dealing with your onboarding rep or me in some circumstances, when you have a much more complex implementation, I will walk you through all of those specific items that need to get done and implemented for the specific phases of your job. So everything from a lead to in production, so on and so forth. So that's about it. Again, took a little bit, but I think we got the point across of how to get a lead in the system. There's 2 ways to do it: quick lead and full lead entry. Most of the time you're going to be using quick lead. The other part of the time, your CSRs or anybody answering the phone, office managers, are going to be using the full lead. So have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be able to help you and get you all set up. Well, I'll see you on the next one.